Hi, I'm Jackie Hesse, Executive Chef of Food and Nutrition Services at Rutland Regional Medical Center. Welcome to our program, Window on Wellness. Today our guest is Donna Hunt. She will be joining me in presenting some healthy diabetic cooking and healthy recipes that you can make at home. We'll be right back after this message.
I'm Tom Hubner, President of the Rutland Regional Medical Center. The Rutland Regional Medical Center is the largest community hospital in Vermont. We started back in 1896. We had 16 beds, 8 physicians, 1 nurse. This past year, we took care of nearly 250,000 patients, and we have 1,600 staff, 258 doctors. We are here to serve our community in every new way that is possible with this promise to you. We listen, we respect, we care, always.
Today my guest is Donna Hunt. I'd like to welcome her. She is a registered dietitian and manager of the Rutland Diabetes and Endocrinology Center.
Very good.
Great, I remembered it. It was a mouthful. Welcome.
And even more importantly, I'm a certified diabetes educator. So that's a big part of my job.
Absolutely.
Educating people about diabetes.
So you're going to be an expert on helping us prepare these healthy, diabetic-friendly recipes today.
Yes.
So today we're going to make a sweet potato shepherd's pie. So a healthier version using sweet potatoes and also ground turkey.
Excellent.
And you will also be helping me put together a healthy apple, gorgonzola, and walnut salad.
Yum.
So
One thing that's a key thing about cooking with diabetes is that it's not anything different than just healthy cooking. You know, so many times people think that it has to be a diabetic recipe, and it really doesn't. It's what we recommend for healthy eating for everybody. It's just good healthy eating principles. Yep. And it takes in the whole cholesterol piece and sodium piece and all of that, because it's very common that people with diabetes also have heart disease issues. So prevention of heart disease is a key thing. So
absolutely.
It just all rolls in.
Perfect. So what we're going to start with is 2.5 pounds of sweet potatoes that I've already diced, peeled and diced.
You already did the hard part.
I did the hard work this morning. So we're going to get that going and simmering. It should take about 15 minutes for them to get soft, so we're going to start with that.
Great. Sweet potatoes are a great alternative to white potatoes just because they have so much more nutritional value to them. White potatoes have a lot of great nutritional value, but sweet potatoes just bump it up a notch.
What are some of the vitamins that we might find in sweet potatoes?
One of the big things, that's in both sweet potatoes and regular potatoes is potassium. And potassium is something that's a real important thing for many different reasons, but it's also been thought to be very helpful with blood pressure control. The DASH diet, the Dietary Advances to Stop Hypertension, that was a big research study, and information that came out of that was that potassium and calcium and variety of the different vitamins, minerals, fibers, all those things are all just so good. That's the other thing about sweet potatoes is they're much higher in fiber. So as far as with diabetes, that's very helpful. Fiber is a kind of carbohydrate. When you look at any food label, it'll list the total carbohydrates, and then sublisted underneath the total carbs is the fiber. And fiber, that number is included in the total, but fiber is a kind of carbohydrate that our bodies can't digest down to sugar. Just goes through us and down the toilet it goes, so to say. So that's a good thing, because it's an important thing to have that fiber to keep things rolling on through. But it does slow down the digestion in our stomach a little bit. So fiber is something that is very helpful for giving a little bit more of a feeling of fullness after eating.
That's always a good thing.
Yes, and then also just how it's just good for many other reasons, the GI tract and all that good stuff. But it doesn't contribute to blood sugar levels, which is real nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the difference between sugars and carbohydrates when you're looking at a nutrition label? I think that's definitely can hang people up a little bit.
Confusion, yes. And something FDA is going to be changing the label up a little bit in the next, I'm not sure when it's going into effect, the next year or so. But right now, the way it's listed is the total carbohydrates. Indented underneath the total carbohydrates are the different kinds of carbohydrates. So that would include sugars, that would include the fiber, that would include any sugar alcohols. Those are the 3 types of carbohydrates that are required by FDA to be on the label, or USDA. And so sugars are a kind of carbohydrate. They're sublisted under the total, so they're included in that total number. But sugars can be either added sugar, sugar out of the sugar bowl type of sugar, or it can be natural sugars that are natural to the food. So for instance, fruit, when we get to doing the salad and apples, if there were a label on this apple, it would say total carbohydrates is probably about 25 grams, fiber might be like 3 grams, and sugars would be the remaining 22 grams. So somebody that's just looking at the sugar content might think, ooh, I can't have the apple, I can't eat any fruit. But that's actually the furthest thing from the truth, because apples, any of our fruits, our sweet potatoes, so many of our carbohydrate foods are so important for us for all the different vitamins and minerals and fibers, and even more importantly, the phytonutrients, which are the plant-based nutrients.
Right.
Tell me if I should
No,
stop talking.
no, I love it. There's so much good information there.
There is so much that I can just go on and on and on about.
No,
but phytonutrients are, it's PHYTO nutrients, and those are the nutrients that are found in any of our plant-based foods.
Okay.
So anything that grows, anything that has roots, will be a plant-based food, and they're not vitamins, they're not minerals, they're not carbohydrate, protein, or fat. They're just these different substances that are so important for preventing inflammation, for preventing oxidation in our body, which can lead to heart disease and worsen heart disease issues. It can, the phytonutrients are super important with our whole immune system and keeping our immune system strong to fight off cancers, to fight off colds, to fight off viruses, all that kind of stuff.
All those superfoods.
Yes, exactly. And that's, they are referred to as superfoods. Blueberries and kale and all those colorful foods, the sweet potatoes, all those things are so important for us. But another important point with superfoods is too much of even a good thing is not a good thing. So going overboard on blueberries or kale or sweet potatoes is not a good thing either, because it's going to throw things out of balance.
Everything in moderation, they say, right?
Everything in moderation, exactly. That is the key thing.
So I'll go over quickly where we're at. We have a pound of ground turkey here. I've got a stalk of celery. I did about a half a carrot. We had some massive carrots this morning in our refrigerator. And I've got a half an onion. So I'm just going to let this saute up so that it's cooked all the way through. I did a little bit of salt and pepper. I'm going to do a couple teaspoons here of poultry seasoning. Ooh, love poultry seasoning.
Yum.
It's got ground sage in it, a little ground thyme.
And again,
Lots of flavor.
Phytonutrients are in all those herbs and spices. Wherever you can add herbs and spices,
Oh
and
my gosh, do you cook with a lot at home?
less sodium. I do. I do love having fresh basil and parsley and all that kind of good stuff. And I also see that you diced up the celery leaves.
I love cooking with the celery leaves.
Is something so many times people
They're
toss.
very
and
much
there's
underappreciated.
and they are, and they're,
They have so much flavor.
Any of our green leafies, they're just all good for us. And a lot of times people think of celery as being, and same with onions, as being just a nothing kind of vegetable,
Right.
but they've got all their good stuff, those
Absolutely.
phytonutrients. They're nothing but good.
We're gonna just let this saute and get the carrots and everything softened up just a little bit.
Yum. So the vegetables, just to talk a little bit about our different kinds of vegetables. All those vegetables that you put in there so far are all of what I refer to as our watery, crunchy, fibrous vegetables, and they're the kinds of vegetables that you can really eat pretty much unlimited amounts of because they are so high in all those important nutrients, very low in carbohydrates, and they can just give a lot of bulk and volume to foods. So when making like a pasta kind of dish, pasta can be so dense in those carbs, and those carbs, all of those carbs except the fiber, is what breaks down to sugar. And one of the things with diabetes is you're just watching the amount of carbohydrate that you're eating all at one time. So when you look at 1 cup of pasta is about 45 grams of carbohydrate. 1 cup of pasta, that's not a whole lot of pasta.
Right.
So that's almost like your full meal's worth of carbohydrates. So if you look at how you can volumize that, you know, whether it be pasta or rice or potatoes or whatever kind of starch, volumizing it with lots of vegetables. Plus it just adds that much more flavor, nutrients, and just gets more volume.
Great. We consider this the aromatics, the trinity.
Yep, yes, that's right. Great.
Well, we'll let this cook down a little bit longer. Do you want to get started on our salad, Donna?
Super, shall do. So
You've got a few
got some.
stalks of, we've got washed romaine.
Thank you for getting this
All good
all
and clean.
done. And apples, are we going to do all 3 apples?
I think we will. We'll dice all 3 apples. Those are gala apples.
Yum.
And I love all apples, so it was really hard for me to pick. Those looked nice. You want a firm apple for this because you want something that's got some crunch to it. A
Crunch.
little bit of sweetness, but also some crunch.
And if you have those apple cores, I don't know if you ever used one of those that does it into sections.
Yeah,
in the
those are
core.
so
Those
handy.
are very handy. And those are something that are great for if you're getting kids involved in the cooking at all, to have the kids do that.
Makes it a lot of fun.
You probably in your chef training had a lot of safety kind of stuff, like how to cut things safely and not slice your finger off while you're doing it.
Yes, absolutely. Knife safety, I think that was the first course that we had to take in culinary school. It's, makes sense.
Yeah.
Need to be safe.
Can't learn a whole lot if you've lost half your finger.
If you lost half your finger. I just added 2 cups of chicken stock to our mixture here. It's going to help us get everything cooked down.
And I typically cut things big enough chunks that if somebody doesn't like them, they can pick them out, or B, so that you really can taste them in there. And that safety thing, I always cut it so it's flat, and then am I doing it
perfect. Yeah, you're a pro over there. See, I'm always guilty of going through the salad and picking out all the good stuff first. I'll pick out all the apples, and I'll pick out all the walnuts, and then I eat the lettuce last. So as long as you've got some healthy things in there. So to this mixture, I just added 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, which will help us get the mixture thickened. I'm also going to add a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, which has a ton of flavor. Let that cook down a little bit.
Yum. The other thing that I love about shepherd's pie, and this is something I oftentimes talk with people about, is having things quick and easy and handy. So many times people are working full-time and they get home from work and, I don't have time to cook something healthy, and it's a lot easier to just pull out the ready-made stuff. But if you're doing a recipe like this, do double or triple or quadruple the recipe, and if you have room in your freezer,
absolutely,
just throw it in the freezer.
This recipe makes quite a large batch. I have one already going in the oven. It'll go into a 9 by 13 pan, which is a pretty large pan. It's quite a lot of mixture that it makes up. So you can absolutely freeze some of it for sure.
Yeah, if you live alone, freeze it in small containers, and then you've got the portion size already. That's another thing with diabetes is talking about weight control, so many times people with type 2 diabetes, weight control is a big issue there.
Right.
And if you can portion it into a small enough portion and not have the extra so you're overeating on the amount, that can certainly help with the whole weight control piece.
Right.
So what's your thoughts on dicing or chopping lettuce versus tearing lettuce?
I'm a huge fan of tearing, especially with romaine. One of the tricks I actually like to do with romaine is I will actually tear the leaves right off of the stem so that it makes these really pretty. And you know what? It's really up to you, however you want to do it.
Okay.
Or sometimes what I'll do is I'll kind of do a mixture. I'll kind of pull off the outer leaves, and then when I get to the nice tender core, I'll get it all chopped up. But I think this makes it really, really pretty. I kind of like the longer pieces.
The longer. Because with so many chopped salads, a lot of times, you know, like the chopped salads that are on menus and whatnot at restaurants, I will get that question. Does it make a difference if you?
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know that it necessarily does.
Yeah.
If you have a really sharp knife that's going to cut right through and not bruise the lettuce, then you're good to go. I think that's kind of more of the secret.
Bruising thing.
So this is thickening up quite a lot for us. I added about 2 tablespoons of flour to it just to get it a little thicker. So that's coming together.
That looks yummy.
And this recipe, we use ground turkey. Ground turkey is much lower in fat than some of the ground beef that you can buy, but you can certainly substitute ground beef if that's what you have on hand.
And again, the important part of that whole heart health and the saturated fat one, I recently heard a dietitian describe it this way, that if it's from a 4-legged animal and it's high in fat, then that's going to be a saturated fat. So when you think about chicken, chicken and turkey, they only have 2 legs, so much lower in the saturated fat.
Very interesting. I have not heard
Fish don't
that.
have any legs, so that's the best bet as far as saturated fat.
Very cool.
So wherever you can trim the fat, you know, if you are using beef or pork or lamb, just trim the fat off as much as possible before cooking it. Trying to find lean cuts that don't have all the marbling.
So I added about a 1/2 cup of frozen peas just for some color. You can certainly add more vegetables to this also.
Yeah.
You could really beef it up.
Another thing that's great to throw into things like that is just getting like a box of either the baby kale or arugula, spinach, anything like that.
They make some really great mixes now. They're all pre-washed and they have a nice, as you say, a mixture of different kale and arugula.
Easy. And then also once the farmer's market, well actually the farmer's market does have a lot of greens, you know, that they grow indoors.
They do, yeah.
And they're just such a great source of all those wonderful nutrients. And again, volumizing it a little bit.
Right. Absolutely. I think actually I would add some garlic to this. I love putting garlic in just about everything. I gotta do that next time.
I'm just speeding it up by
No, you're doing perfectly. Our sweet potatoes aren't quite there yet, so no rush. And I do have a little bit of mustard in your bowl already for the dressing that you're going to make. No rush.
Okay.
When you get there.
I'm there.
It's 2 tablespoons of I use brown mustard. You could certainly use Dijon or even a little whole grain. I like whole grain mustard because of the texture. And then 2 to 3 tablespoons there of the balsamic vinegar. And then you're going to whisk in 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil for a very simple, very easy to do dressing. Balsamic is one of my favorites.
Wherever you can use the olive oil, it's the highest in those monounsaturated fats. The monounsaturates are the healthy ones, the ones that help lower the lousy cholesterol, LDL cholesterol. But remembering that even though it's a healthy kind of fat, still want to limit the amount of it because it still is dense in calories.
Right. That moderation piece again.
That's right, back to that moderation. And that's also why the different flavored vinegars are so great. Balsamic, rice wine vinegar.
So many different, they have champagne vinegar.
Yeah, there's
rice wine.
tons of them.
Red wine.
And rice wine is a nice one because it's very light and delicate,
It is.
don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes you can just sprinkle a little bit of that on the salad all by
It's a
itself.
great seasoning,
And,
absolutely. That came together really nicely. The mustard is what's going to emulsify everything for us. Yeah.
Nice.
Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and add the apples and the walnuts. Walnuts are a great
Excellent.
source of protein,
Those
right? They have
phytonutrients,
some good fats
protein, good fats, those monounsaturated fats. They can give that good feeling of fullness, that nice yummy crunch. My hands are clean, by the way.
So we have half a cup of 1% milk, and I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of reduced fat sour cream. Oops.
Yum. And Gorgonzola, blue cheese, so typically the thought is blue cheese, like blue cheese dressing is just awful for us. And the thing about blue cheese dressing and Thousand Island dressing, that kind of thing, is they're very thick and high in fat. So if we use a lot of them, yes, we're adding a lot of fat. What's nice about using the real cheese and then like a balsamic vinaigrette is you can get so much flavor from that blue cheese and not have nearly as much of the fat from all the dressing and everything.
Right.
But just really mix that flavor throughout the salad.
One of my favorite things about Vermont is all of the artisan cheeses that we have.
Yes.
It's just unbelievable.
Yes.
I am always so amazed at the selection
Yep.
that we have in Vermont of beautiful, beautiful blue cheeses, really all sorts of cheeses. We're recognized
Everything.
always for our cheddar, but there are so many
Yes.
great places
And
out there.
Again, going to the farmer's market and just tasting them, and
Yeah.
you can't
Getting
taste
to
them
meet the
without buying them.
farmers.
Yeah,
That's what
which
makes the
really
experience
makes it.
so much fun.
Do you want me to drizzle
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
on?
If you could dress that for us, I'm going to grab our sweet potato shepherd's pie.
And dressing, so oftentimes you don't need a lot of dressing.
Right, you have a lot of strong
less is
flavors
better.
in there, so
Yeah.
you're really, a little is going to go a long way. So this baked for half an hour at 425 degrees. Our sweet potatoes needed a few more minutes, so I just put those back on. I'm going to rush the process with those.
Oh, that looks fabulous. So just a nice little twist on your...
It is. It's going to feel healthier. It's a little lighter now that we're going into warmer weather, which is good. And I have a spoon right here. Yeah, perfect. I'm going to spoon up just a bit of that here. Some good color on this plate. I'm going to put a little salad on there. Love those colors.
This is what I would call a plethora of phytonutrients.
That's a good thing.
Isn't that a good thing?
I love it.
It's a marvelous thing.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me today, Donna, and all of your information on healthy cooking for diabetes.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Join us again on PEG TV, Channel 15. Thank you so much for joining us, and be well.
This is Shane, my therapy dog. I really enjoy bringing him to Rutland Regional Medical Center because I can just see what it does for the patients. I think we make a lot of people happy and relaxed when we come. It takes them out of really where they are. People I don't even know will say hi to Shane because they've seen him at the hospital. It's like, look, there's Shane. Hi, Shane.